Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Jeff Carbone. I'm with the admissions office at MIT Sloan. We're happy to have some current students with us tonight to talk to you about MIT Sloan and all that makes it great. To kick off the evening, I'd just like to have them introduce themselves to start. So, Sahar, if you want to take it away.
Sure, thanks, Jeff. Everyone, my name is Sahar. I'm a third-year student because I'm in a dual degree program with Harvard Kennedy School. Love everything about Sloan. Very active with the Sloan Senate in particular. I was a vice president of diversity this past year, and I'm the chief administration officer this upcoming year. Prior to Sloan, I was a corporate M&A attorney and a law school administrator, and just really have enjoyed my experience. Last summer I worked for Intercontinental Hotels Group in New York City, and this summer I'm working for the White House Office of Management and Budget. Happy to answer any questions you have, but I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn to introduce herself now.
Hi everybody, my name is Carolyn Escobar Kent. I am a second-year Sloanie as well, class of 2017, and yeah, I'm very excited to be talking to all of you. I'm co-president of the Hispanic Business Club, also a Sloan senator and active and work with Sahar on our diversity initiatives, very active in the impact investing and finance club. And yeah, prior to this, I worked in nonprofit and international development. And this summer, I'm at Morgan Stanley. And yeah, I'm excited to get to know all of you and answer any questions that you have.
All right, hi everybody. My name is Awa Kone, and I am also a second-year student at Sloan. I am the president of the Africa Business Club. I'm originally from Ivory Coast in West Africa. Prior to school, I worked as an actuarial consultant for a while at PwC and Towers Watson. And this summer, I'm doing an internship in asset management in Austin. I'm happy to help, answer any questions that you guys might have about Sloan, the E&I track, or any specific questions related to the Africa Business Club.
Great. Thank you all very much for those nice introductions. So tonight we're just going to focus a little bit on MIT and what makes it special and unique, especially from a diversity perspective. There's a lot that happens at MIT, and there's a lot of great people there. And there's a unique feature with MIT Sloan in that it's not only just the two-year business school, two-year MBA program, but the Sloan School houses other degree programs. So you'll be able to network and get to know people from executive programs and Master of Finance programs. You'll be mixed classes together. You'll have clubs and organizations working together. So if you guys could want to comment on that network that MIT Sloan provides you, whether it's just through the clubs and organizations, through your classmates, through the second years, and other degree programs and beyond, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm happy to kick that off. So I actually, throughout my year, my first year, I worked with a MIT initiative called focusing on MIT ideas. And so it focuses on social entrepreneurship and building social entrepreneurs, not just at the Sloan School, but across MIT's campus. And so it was a really amazing way to get to know the undergrads, to get to know the other graduate students as well. And they all come together with these amazing ideas in terms of how to make an impact on the world, and not just ideas, but building products as well. And then we give them money and seed money so that they can do their projects. And so that's just one example of like our one MIT focus, and that we have access to basically anyone on campus, and it's something that's really unique and something that's very special, especially if you're interested in entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship specifically. And for me, that was a really rewarding experience to get to know all of the different schools.
I would add to that that in terms of networking for me, I reached out to a lot of alumni, particularly in my first year, because I was very interested in hospitality, and that's not as traditional of a pathway or career path for MBA students. And so I was just amazed by how receptive alumni were to getting emails from a current student, and how warm and engaging they were, and how willing they were to give of their time and speak to me about my interests and my career paths, and even just give me advice about what classes to take and just kind of reminisce about their Sloan experience. So I felt like that was a really rewarding experience, and just having kind of those interactions made me really feel good about my choice in coming to Sloan.
Um, I would say that from my experience, I think through just classes, like I said, I'm in the E&I track, and in a lot of these entrepreneurship classes, I was able to meet people from other MIT departments, whether it's undergrad or within the Sloan School, as well as even people from other schools like Harvard. And then also with the work that I'm doing with the Africa Business Club, the Sloan Fellows are very involved in that club, so that was an opportunity to meet them and kind of leverage their knowledge and their experience as well.
Great. And for those of you who don't know, the Sloan Fellows is a full-time executive MBA program. So it's a one-year full-time program on campus where students will be integrated in the coursework with each other as well as in clubs and organizations. In terms of the infrastructure at MIT, it is an amazing place. There's so much going on at the business school alone, but then you mentioned how there's so much going on outside of MIT. And as a student at Sloan, you can take up to 3 classes outside of MIT Sloan at any of the other graduate schools at MIT or any of the graduate schools at Harvard, so it really gets to expand your network there. Also, a lot of classes are cross-listed, so in actuality, there's more than just those 3 classes that you can take outside, because there's lots of like product design and development. A third of the classes coming from engineering, a third from the business school, and a third from Rhode Island School of Design, and that doesn't count towards one of those 3. So whether you want to take classes outside of Sloan or get involved in the Entrepreneurship Center like Carolyn mentioned, or the Media Lab, if you guys know about the Media Lab, there's just so many crazy cool opportunities going on there. We're a home of innovation and invention. It's an amazing place. Do any of you have any comments to add towards that end?
I would add, I took 2 Course 11 courses. So one was Real Estate Leasing, Financing, and Development, and that was supremely helpful at the hospitality internship that I had last summer because of the importance of hotel development. And so I interacted with Sloan students, but also Masters of Real Estate Development students, Masters of Urban Planning students. So I thought that was very interesting. And then I also took a course on structuring low-income housing that was geared towards refugees, and that was just an interest of mine as well. And so just having the chance to take those different classes across campus and really interact with graduate students was a wonderful experience. I also lived in the graduate housing, so that's not really curriculum oriented, but it was also a great way to network with students and get to know grad students from across the institute.
Yeah, and I would definitely add to that as well. So I've been super lucky and have been really involved in blockchain at MIT, which is something that I didn't even know what blockchain was before being a student. And so I'm part of the finance certificate. We had someone from the Media Lab come and explain to us what it is and the opportunities. And I have been hooked on it ever since. And so I think it's a good example of, I've been able to take Media Lab courses, but they've actually been cross-listed with Sloan. So I have yet to use my kind of 3 credits towards something outside of Sloan, even though I've been taking these Media Lab courses, because they're cross-listed. And I had a really cool opportunity. I had a meeting with the government of Mexico in May, as part of like this work that I've been doing with MIT and Sloan and with the Media Lab to talk about how we could apply blockchain technology with real estate. So an example of something that you don't even think would be an opportunity, and just because of all of the resources that we have at Sloan, you find yourself in situations that you wouldn't even imagine existed beforehand.
Great. So those of you watching, there's a Q&A function, so please just ask away questions. Don't wait till the end. Start asking questions now. We're happy to ask as many questions as you have about whatever it is that you want to talk about. So click the Q&A button, type in your question, safe space, no judgment, whatever kind of questions you have are totally fine. Let's talk a little bit about the community at MIT Sloan. So yes, MIT is an amazing place, and there's a lot of misconceptions about MIT, and especially MIT Sloan, given that we're housed at MIT. Yes, it's a very engineering-focused school, and technology and innovation reign. But at the business school, it is the business school at MIT, so students are doing a variety of things. I think it's one of the most diverse business schools around, and you have people, yes, that are interested in finance and consulting and tech and what have you, but you have a whole slew of other things. For example, Sahar doing hospitality last summer. So really a wide range of people and students. Besides that wide range and all those opportunities, talk to me about diversity. Talk to me about the space. Talk to me how it feels to be a student at MIT and what you like about it. Let's start with Sahar. Or Awa, go for it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can get started. So I think for me, one of the main reasons why I chose to come to MIT is just the community, right? When I was looking at schools, I really liked MIT on paper or on the internet, so I wanted to visit by myself and really see what the real community is like. And I hang out there. I was there for like an entire day in the cafeteria. I didn't do any of the admission tours. I was just hanging out with students. And I met people who were really honest with me, really candid, really, really helpful. People that I'd never seen before that was willing to help me with my essays and really help me throughout the entire process. And I'm still in touch with these people even nowadays. Once I joined the school, I was just really amazed. So in terms of diversity, for me, coming from Africa and having lived in the US for the past 10 years, diversity is, people that don't look like me. So before Sloan, I'd never met anyone from Israel. Never really had any interaction with people from the military. Didn't really know much about issues in terms of LGBTQ community. So for me, this past year was really an opportunity to kind of branch out of my own culture and community and learn about other people, what their issues are, how they live, and really kind of get to know them on a much personal level and really be able to make those connections. In terms of just the environment, it's very collaborative. People are super helpful. I have people who kind of, spend so much time helping me getting ready for interviews that at one point I was like, oh my God, I've never seen this. But it's just so nice to be in a community where it's a safe environment. You can be yourself and you know that you have people there that are going to take care of you no matter what.
Yeah, I would add, I was really amazed by how caring and supportive everyone was. And that came true even just, in going to the ambassadors events. So similar to what Awa was saying about, going to these, meeting with people as a prospective student, just how warm and engaging everyone was, and how helpful they were in terms of even giving tips on the application process and, just kind of helping to give a sense of what kind of stuff to convey. What makes the MIT community so great. So I think that everyone was extremely helpful, and I agree with what Awa said also about being supportive during recruiting. I noticed that was actually a really big difference. A few of the other schools I had looked at, and I won't name any other schools, but a few of them, when I had asked about that process, people had said, oh, it gets kind of tense, cutthroat, competitive. And when I asked people at MIT Sloan, they were like, no, everyone's helping each other. They're like telling you, what questions to expect or kind of curveballs that they had. And that rang true of all my friends who went through the recruiting process at Sloan. They were all helping each other, and it was really more about helping each other because these are your classmates and you do care about them a great deal. So I really like that aspect of Sloan and think it's kind of unique to Sloan.
Great.
Yeah, and I would add to that as well, in that for me it was really important to go to Diversity Weekend, and that I was able to form relationships with people during that weekend. And as Sahar and Awa have said, people that I barely even knew were helping me in such a fundamental way in terms of my application, helping me get ready for interviews. But then also now kind of being here and being in a leadership position with Hispanic Business Club and being able to work with all the other different clubs on campus and helping create a community, helping create dialogue, bringing up questions. Sahar has been amazing. She's humble, so she won't admit this, but she's been really amazing in doing these Ask Me Anything dialogues, in which we have like real conversations about some tough topics, dealing with diversity and what that means. And for me, it just speaks to the level of community, and not just to be like, oh, you're diverse and I'm diverse, and so we're automatically friends, but like in very fundamental ways, forming connections with people in a genuine way. So something I think is really unique to Sloan, and that I really appreciate about the MIT Sloan community.
Great. And you brought up two things that I want to build off of because one, thanks for the plug for Diversity Weekend. That's great. It's coming up September 29th and 30th. So Thursday evening with a welcome reception followed by a Friday of programming, and it ends Friday late afternoon, early evening with another closing reception. So it's a great way to meet more people on campus, attend a class, tour the facilities, learn more about action learning and career development and student life and all the opportunities at MIT. So it's a great opportunity to come for that. There's other weekends that we host events as well. You can come visit anytime you want. There's ambassador programs that run Monday through Thursday during the school year where you can have lunch with current students, sit on a class, go to a Sloan info session. There's an LGBT Ambassadors Day in November. There's a Veterans Ambassador Day in LGBT is in October. Veterans is in November. A Women's Ambassadors Day in December. They should all be up on the website so you can see those and register for those. It's a great way just to experience the community and see what's going on. The second point, I cannot remember what it was, but I'm sure it will come back to me. So thanks for that. I do have a question. So for prospective students not interested in entrepreneurship or tech, can you talk about how you assessed fit at Sloan? So Sahar, perhaps you can take this to start because you weren't interested in traditional route.
Sure. So I was very interested in real estate development and then hospitality as it pertained to strategy and development, and then also just nonprofit management. So I had kind of a slew of interests and have kind of gotten to explore many of them, but they all kind of go together in this crazy way. If we could talk about that in more details. I would say in terms of fit, I really looked for a place where I felt like I could design a curriculum around those unique interests. And so MIT's having just a one-semester core for me was key because I wanted to maximize my time and use all of my other semesters to take as many electives as possible. And so, as I think Jeff mentioned earlier, I was looking at classes in course 11. I think he was specifically mentioning how with some of the courses, they're actually cross-listed as course 15. That's MIT.
Sahar. Yeah, let's talk normal people words and not use courses like normal language for non-MIT folks.
Yeah, sorry everyone. So course 15 is MIT Sloan's classes. So basically, they were cross-listed as MBA electives, and so I was interested in taking real estate courses that were cross-listed with the Real Estate Center and the Business School. And so a lot of the classes I was able to take because they were cross-listed, and then the one or two that I wanted otherwise I was able to take because, as Jeff said, up to three can count towards your degree. And so being able to take those classes and network with those students and those professors, in some cases also having a lot of guest lecturers, that was really helpful to me in terms of really kind of designing my own curriculum. And so that's really kind of carried throughout my time at Sloan so far.
Great. Someone else want to add to that, how you chose Sloan if you weren't thinking of a traditional path or you weren't sure what you wanted to do in the future, if you weren't interested in entrepreneurship or tech, and how you might have navigated, how to navigate fit if that wasn't your style. Which there's a lot of people that aren't doing tech and entrepreneurship. I know we're known for that. I know there's a lot of people that do it, but there's still a lot of people doing other things, from impact investing to healthcare, to sustainability initiatives. There's a lot going on at MIT Sloan besides what we do here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to add to that. I love and I am passionate about entrepreneurship, but I'm not choosing a career in entrepreneurship. So what I love about MIT and about MIT Sloan is that I get to have access to it, but in terms of the career path that I chose, I'm doing, I did a traditional finance summer internship and have been also, I have a lot of friends that go into consulting, into pharmaceutical, biotech is another, I know it has tech in the word, but still it's healthcare focused. Honestly, anything that you want to do, you have access to, and the fact that you're going to a place where you get exposed to different things makes you a different and unique candidate. And honestly, I think all of these companies are looking for people who are unique and who have a different perspective to bring to the table. And so, if nothing else, having exposure to being at the forefront of things that maybe you're not comfortable with. But I am by no means a techie, and I'm not a quant person either. Like, I have a nonprofit background, international development, liberal arts. But having access to that and being exposed to those things makes you so much more interesting in your interviews, because you can talk about things that aren't even on people's radar. So I think it's a competitive advantage, not just of MIT Sloan as a school, but something that you can adopt as a student as well.
Great.
Yeah, if I can add really quick, I think that what I really liked about MIT is the flexibility, right? I think MIT was one of the only school that I applied to who didn't really care that I knew exactly what I wanted to do after school. So I didn't have to make something up because I wasn't necessarily sure. And for me, coming from a background, an actuarial background, it's a very different background. Not a lot of actuaries come back to business school, but just it was okay. It was okay for me to explore different things and figure out what worked for me. And like Sahar said, we only have one core semester, so you can kind of build and customize your curriculum to meet your objectives. And also, in terms of the alumni network, it's just amazing. People are very responsive. People are willing to talk to you. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to someone, just really asking any type of questions to figure out if those type of careers are what you want to do. And like Carolyn was saying, whatever it is that you want to do, there's probably someone at MIT who's done it before. And knowing that that person, you can find that person and they'll be willing to talk you through it, I think that's something that's very reassuring.
Great, thanks. The other thing you can do is just visit, and whether you can't visit before you apply, you can visit and wait till you're admitted to schools and then visit the schools. But you really get a sense of how students are, hang out in the cafeteria like Awa did, like watch students, watch how they interact with each other, watch how the faculty interact with them. MIT Sloan's this place with, you have Nobel laureates hanging out in the cafeteria with students. You have so much right at your fingertips, and it's so accessible, and people are just so down to earth and friendly that you can walk right up to them as a prospective student, not knowing anyone, and they'll sit down and chat with you. Try and talk to as many current students, alumni. We travel around the globe, try to go to some of our events if you can, and if not, just try and reach out to people. Other clubs, what are you interested in? Are there clubs you're interested in? And reach out to those clubs on campus to get a better sense of what it's like, what the infrastructure ecosystems like at Sloan. I keep forgetting all these great points. You give me good segues, and then I just lose them. And I took a pen out so I could write them down, and I just didn't even write it down, so it's already gone. A quick thing on statistics and diversity. We have a panel of women here, and that's great. There's over 40% of the class is women, which is great. 40% non-U.S. citizen. A big mix of people from a wide variety of industries coming into Sloan and going out of Sloan, and also from all over the globe. So it's a really great environment to be in. The next question has to do with a little bit about, which Awa mentioned, is that we have a unique approach to our application, in that we aren't very interested in future goals, what you want to do down the road, because for many reasons. And then you have a question on the cover letter. So to start it off, we aren't really interested in your future goals, right? Why is that? Because some people don't know what they want to do. So it's no point in us basing our judgment of your application on something that's not going to come true. So we're going to focus on the past, and if you've been successful in the past, regardless of what you want to do, you'll be successful in the future. So what's most important to us is what you have done, and in the cover letter, we want you to tell us. Give us a couple examples of what the successes that you've had. Tell us about why you'd be a good fit for MIT, or why you want to be at MIT. But remember to be specific about examples that you've done that can show that you've been successful in the past. It's short, there's not a lot of words, so be concise. You do have that optional essay to tell us whatever you want. If you want to dive deeper into a subject area, if you want to let us know about your passions, if you want to let us know about your future goals, that's fine. But it's not going to have a ton of bearing in terms of future goals, just because it's, not everyone has those goals. And when you come to MIT, your mind is going to be blown. You're going to realize things exist that you didn't know existed. Your mind's going to change. And about 80% of the student body changes their mind. So we don't like to focus on what you want to do, because a lot of times it's not going to happen. It may shift a little bit, or you might do a total 180, but it really depends. So I hope that question answered okay. Next question. So you guys, you're students, you're part of clubs, there's a lot going on. So talk to us a little bit about student life. What's student life like on campus? in terms of clubs, I'm sure you put on some conferences. Tell us about that. In terms of student life, what do you do at night? A lot of people have a perception that MIT students, all you do is you're drinking from a fire hose, it's too much coursework, there's a lot that's going on, and you have no time for fun. And I know that that's not the case because I sometimes walk around campus in the evenings and see that that's not true. So tell us a little bit about extracurriculars. Carolyn, take it away.
I think for me, like, yeah, one of the really amazing things is that everyone's invited to everything. So that was such a shock to me, as I was just worried. Like, I had been out of school for 7 years. You know, you're going into this new environment. It can be kind of intimidating and scary, and you don't know what you're getting into. But like, I would recommend that everyone do a pre-function. So it's these opportunities to go on like a mini trip ahead of time before classes start. So I went whitewater rafting with a group of Sloanies, and that was amazing, and got to know first years and second years, and we had so much fun. And then also every Thursday night we have our cultural functions, which are known as C functions, and that's just like a great excuse to eat food from different countries. Student clubs host those functions. There's music, there's dancing. It's a lot of fun. And it's overwhelming. Like, you have so many opportunities to meet and connect with people. Everyone's so open and inviting. It's not super cliquey. And so I was a little nervous. I was like, I don't know, MIT, like, we'll see. And nothing could be further from the truth in terms of like how social and fun and interactive we are. And more than anything, it's just like an open invitation to interact in all sorts of ways. So it's a really welcoming community, and business school is a lot of fun. So really, it's an enjoyable 2 years for sure.
And that rings true for those of you that might come to school with a husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend. Significant others at Sloan play a huge part, and especially if you go on the pre-function with a significant other, a lot of people don't even realize who's the student, who's the SO until well into classes start. They're invited to everything, a lot of things on campus. They get to go on some of the trips as well, so they really are ingrained in the Sloan community. I don't know if any of you have SOs or not, but sorry, someday. Just kidding, independent one, that's fine. So, Awa, did you take a part in the Africa Business Conference or anything like that? Can you talk about that?
Yes, I did. So I was involved with the Africa Business Club last year. Slightly involved with the conference. I was in charge of one of the panel. I think it was a great experience for me. Going in, I didn't realize how much work the conference would be. But it was tremendous amount of work, but it was also a great opportunity for me to start building a network in Africa. And that was one of the things that I wanted to do while at MIT. So while reaching out to people for them to come to the conference, I was able to really learn a lot about fintech. That's what the panel was about, but really start establishing contacts as well. So that was a great opportunity for me in terms of the conference. The club is going to take over my life next year since I'm the president. But there's both work and fun with the club. The Africa Business Club, the BBSA, the Black Business Club, and the Hispanic Club, we're looking to work together on a lot of events next year. Like next year, we're gonna have welcome barbecues, diversity retreats, just to kind of get together and build that community of support and help each other out. So there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of opportunities that you can take to your professional life as well. Other than that, in terms of fun, I've been traveling a lot. I've been, kind of going all over the world, and that's been great for me. That was one of the things I really wanted to do during those 2 years, and I've been able to do just that with amazing people from Sloan. So.
I'll chime in quickly. I think Carolyn already mentioned the Ask Me Anything panels, but that's been kind of one of my greatest kind of joys from being part of Sloan Senate has been to help organize those with Caroline and other members of the diversity committee. Really just getting to work with different diverse student groups on campus and having other students at large attend those AMAs, that's what they're referred to, and ask really deep deep questions and have kind of that warm, open environment where everyone can ask questions of each other respectfully and really learn from one another without any judgment whatsoever. So for me, that's been kind of one of the most amazing experiences I've had. I kind of echo Carolyn's comments on C functions. That was probably one of the best ways that I met people from outside of my section. We call sections oceans at Sloan. But so just in terms of meeting people from outside of my ocean, the C functions are a really great way to get to know people. I would also add, since I am a little quieter / shy at times, for me, I know that our ocean planned a lot of small dinners, and I felt like that was a really nice way to get to know a small subset of people within my ocean and also outside of my ocean, because we kind of coordinated with other oceans as well, to meet people with just various backgrounds and kind of get to know them. Usually it would be like 5 to 7 people. Sometimes it'd be potlucks. Sometimes it would be to try different restaurants that are around town. But we had kind of Google spreadsheets flying back and forth, and we would kind of organize these and literally would be like signing up for them. There were also a lot of like board game nights. There was also like a WhatsApp group on like dancing, so it's like called Sloanie Dance Love, and so a bunch of girls would just coordinate like going out dancing kind of once or twice a month. And so just kind of finding out about these different WhatsApp groups or Slack groups and really kind of finding people who have similar interests to you or enjoy doing similar things, be it bowling or dancing or I don't know, kayaking. There's just so many different activities that Sloan students are involved with, and you will.
Happy Belly Club, one of my favorites. Just going out to eat a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, there's a Happy Belly Club too, if you're interested in that. There's a Vineyards Club. So like, there's just so many different clubs.
Well, why don't you tell us about some of the Ask Me Anything panels and describe what it is, just so people know what you're talking about. Like, give us some examples of what ones you did.
Sure. So in the fall we had Growing Up Black and Latina. We had one on Africa, and then I think in the spring we had 4. We had one about growing up Jewish and also life in Israel, growing up Muslim in America, and then we also had one with the LGBT community, and then we also had one with vets. And so each of these were kind of different student populations, and each of them have faced some kind of stereotypes, or you know, classmates may have had preconceived notions about different groups. And so what we really wanted to do was provide an opportunity for open dialogue amongst students to really share their experiences and kind of inform their classmates who are not from those student groups or student populations, but also to be able to ask questions. So for instance, in the Growing Up Black and Latina panel, somebody asked, you know, what's the difference between Latino and Hispanic? Because apparently there's a distinction, but I don't understand what it is. And having somebody be able to ask that and say, hey, I know this is probably a dumb question, and then being reassured, no, it's actually not a dumb question. Here's the distinction. Like, let us explain it to you. Having those kind of opportunities was just great in that, like I said, it was a safe space for people to ask questions, even when it seemed maybe more straightforward because it was about like vocabulary words. But you know, a similar question came up in terms of vocabulary in the LGBT panel as well, and so people were like, "Can you please explain the distinction between X, Y, and Z?" And so just being able to ask even those kind of questions was immensely helpful. And people actually came up to me afterwards and said, "You know, I never really knew that. I feel like more empowered to be joining like the professional world, and as we kind of are in an increasingly like global environment, I think it's really important that we be able to work with people of very diverse backgrounds. And I think that the Sloan experience, that classroom experience alone, prepares you so well for that because we do have such a diverse student body. But I think that in addition to that, having these AMA panels has also opened up a whole new level of, you know, diversity training per se, in that people are able to really ask important questions and questions that are on their mind that they may not feel comfortable asking in other settings. And so really, I'm just really happy that we're able to provide that safe space to students and that we've been able to kind of all come together in like this respectful, collaborative, collegial way.
Great, thank you. So MIT MIT's motto, "Mens et Manus," it's sort of the school's founded off of mind in hand, taking what you're learning and putting it to use. And we lost Carolyn. She's on a cell phone in a coffee shop because her company blocks Google. So hopefully she'll join back in a second. So back to the MIT mind in hand. The next question is about IAP, Independent Activities Period, in January, and what you guys did. So a lot of times, I mean, you guys are first year, so I'm sure Carolyn was recruiting because banking, consulting happens during the month of January on campus. Back to my mind in hand thing, there's over 15 different action learning labs available to students. It ranges in industry, and you work with a group of students on a project for a semester and then help implement that at the company. Sometimes it happens in the middle of the spring semester, sometimes it's the month of January, and it's a great opportunity to expand your skill set, learn about a different industry, learn about a different region of the world, and help a company actually affect change. And those happen mainly in the second year a lot. There's some action learning projects that do happen in the first, as first years can take them. But especially during IAP, it's generally a lot of the second years will be doing those action learning projects during IAP. What did you guys do during IAP in your first year?
Sure, I'll take that one first. So in my first year, I actually took classes at Sloan. I took a class with the founder of One Laptop Per Child and really got to hear and learn about that venture. And I also took a distributive leadership workshop, which I thought was extremely helpful to kind of work on my leadership skills. And that was a 3-day, all-day course, but was really kind of nice in that, you know, it's kind of very introspective, which I thought was helpful. Since I am in a 3-year program, I actually did have a second IAP period already, and I got to participate in Israel was speaking to. So for me, that was very
You get to participate in what?
Israel Lab. So Israel Lab is one of the newer labs at Sloan. And so I got to go to Israel and work with a startup there. It was about 5 years old, and it was just an amazing experience to get hands-on work experience in another country, in Israel. I got to work with another fellow MBA student and then 2 Masters of Finance students on our project, and it was a marketing-related project. So I also got to really learn more about marketing and kind of get hands-on marketing experience through the opportunity. And I got to go all over Israel for 3 weeks and really see Israel and get to know the country more and, you know, explore the sites. So that was just an amazing experience for me.
Great. Awa, what did you do?
Yeah, so actually one of the things that you can do as a first year is the SEED program. So I'm really bad with acronym, but I think it's Sloan Entrepreneurship and International Development, where you do a consulting project with a company all over the world. You can choose whether it's in Africa, Asia, Latin America. I think they had one in Galapagos last year. So there's just a bunch of opportunities where you can work on a specific project during the semester, and then there could be an opportunity to travel to that region during the IEP period. So I worked on a project with a financing firm in Ghana. We didn't get to travel there, but that was something that I did, and I know some people who actually went and traveled to their companies. During the month of January, though, I was doing recruiting, so I was mostly in Cambridge. But if I wanted to travel, you know, the SEED would have been an opportunity, and I ended up actually joining one of the Harvard trek that went to Rwanda and Uganda in December, and that was a great opportunity for me to meet other students within MIT, but also within the HKS school at Harvard. And it was just a tremendous opportunity to visit another country in Africa, and we got to meet the president. So that's what I did.
Very cool. And for Carolyn, since she's working in banking for the summer, she was probably on campus interviewing for banking. Pretty logical. So that answers that question. Talk to us about, the next question is about what's the most eye-opening course or school experience that you've had so far, and why? Think of some cool classes or an amazing experience that you've had at Sloan. Tell us about it.
I can take that one.
For me,
oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Awa.
Okay. So I think for me, my background is very quantitative. So coming into school, I really wanted to experience some of these other soft skill type of classes. And I took one class last semester. I think it's called Improv in Leadership. It was very strange. Right before the first class, the professor she sent us an email and said, wear comfortable shoes. And for the first day of class, we just danced for 30 minutes. She had music on, and we were just dancing, a bunch of us. But really, during that class, every day we would come in. It was like a once a week class. We would come in, we would do the little dance exercises, and then we would do some improv. Sometimes it was just with languages and talking. Sometimes it was just with music. Sometimes it was just random things that we would have to do, but really understanding how to work in teams and how to trust your teammates. And so at the end of the workshop, then we would kind of bring it to the professional environment and understanding what are some things that really tick you and kind of put you outside of your comfort zone. How do you learn how to kind of understand when someone is not comfortable around you, or how to deal with very difficult conversations. So that class was just amazing for me. It was just pushing me so far outside of my comfort zone. I'm a very quiet, shy type of person, but this was really allowing me to trust people. I think by the end of the class, everybody in the class, gave so much. We became really, really close and shared so much. It was a great experience, and I think that definitely helped me in terms of speaking up in my other classes, in terms of presentation skills, even here at my internship, and communication in general. So that was definitely one of my top moments.
So I was going to pick actually one of my Action Learning Lab classes from the spring of my first year, which was China Lab, and so it was China and India Lab, and so that was an experience to actually travel to China. And for me, I had not done that much international travel before coming to Sloan, and so I was a little nervous. I felt like it was a little out of my comfort zone. Actually, I take that back. It was a lot out of my comfort zone. I went to Guangzhou, China, where not that many people were speaking English kind of on a day-to-day basis, and so just trying to order breakfast from like the McDonald's like menu and like pointing to pictures and trying to order things, and just conversing and getting around the city. Those kind of things kind of pushed me outside of my comfort zone. But also, interacting and working with MBA students from a local university there was a tremendous experience. And just seeing how the economy of China operates and learning more about it, I just really thought that it was a wonderful experience and was really, really happy that I did it. I feel like I grew a lot too and learned a lot about like working on business school teams because I was a lawyer before, and so while we had deal teams, it was a very different experience than working on a consulting project in business school. So for me, that experience was probably the best experience of my Sloan career so far. I would also add, like, even just tobogganing down the Great Wall of China. I'm petrified of heights, but I did that, and it was the most amazing experience of my life.
Great. There are lots of amazing courses, amazing faculty that you get to develop relationships with, and I mean, I've been on the road at many different cities, and this question comes up a lot. And courses that we always hear, and you can Google these classes and see them on OpenCoursera and see what they're all about. But Global Entrepreneurship Lab is one of the most popular for the lab courses. We're going to help a startup in a developing country, and you work on the ground for 4 weeks there. The Finance One is popular for some reason, not to me, but people have said that a lot. Managing in Adversity is a great one. CEO Perspectives class, where they bring in a different CEO each class to give a real-life situation that you play out. So there's lots of different things. And this is actually a great segue into the next class, the question about classes. What's the learning environment of MIT Sloan? How do they structure classes? How do professors cater different learning styles? I know that at Sloan in general, the faculty aren't told how to teach, so there'll be a mix of everything from lecture to case-based to everything in between, action learning. And it's a big mix, depending on the class, depending on the professor. But I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I actually took a mix of classes, both lecture-based, as well as action learning based, as well as kind of more case-based courses. So I definitely took that mix. I took Managing in Adversity, which Jeff mentioned, and I'm actually the TA for the Corporations at the Crossroads course now, the CEO perspective. So I was actually just lining up speakers today for that class, which is for spring of 2017. And so really enjoyed that class. It's taught by the same professor as Managing in Adversity. And in that class, you actually have speakers, generally CEOs in both Managing in Adversity and Corporations at the Crossroads, come and speak to the class. But in advance of that, you actually read a case and you prepare your recommendations for Managing in Adversity in particular. You prepare those recommendations in PowerPoint slides, and one student is called up at the beginning of each class to actually present what their recommendations are to the class, and the class is supposed to be like the board of directors, and so they're explaining why they recommend that the CEO approach the problem or tackle the adversity the way that they did. And then the CEO will actually come up and say, you got it exactly right, or you're completely off base. And so it's just a really practical course. And you kind of try out, being a manager in a way. So I think that was a great class. I think all the case-based classes are wonderful because, as we've been saying, everyone has a diversity of perspectives. And so approaching a case is very different depending on what your perspective is and your background is. And so learning from each other is just so key to those case-based discussions, that you're not only learning from the professor, but you're also learning from your fellow classmates. And I think that's what makes the experience so remarkable. And then, of course, we do have lecture classes as well. Though even with the lecture courses, I feel like the professors are bringing in a lot of case discussions, too, to drive home the concepts that they're teaching.
Great. Thank you very much. So next question. In the spirit of time, I'm going to answer it, and then you guys can add anything if you want. High-level overview of an internship process. So recruiters are blocked until October. So you'll come on campus, you'll have orientation, you'll be in the core, and the first month you're good to go. And then all of a sudden you'll be bombarded by recruiters coming on campus. On-campus recruiting is a lot. There's a lot of different opportunities. You'll feel huge FOMO and want to try and do everything, and you won't be able to. There'll be people wanting to take you to dinners. There'll be information sessions. You can get free lunch every single day of the week. Evening presentations. It's hectic. There's a lot to do. You've got schoolwork. You've got your fun and activities as well, and recruiting. And then, banking, consulting, interview in the month of January. Others interview a bit later. A lot of people, the way consulting and banking hire a lot is the FOMO that happens, and students are like, well, all these people are doing it, I should do it too, and then you get these offers, and then you don't want to give them up. So that happens in early on, and then the others follow after. Please, Awa, Sahar, add a little more light to the process if you want, but let's keep it brief because we're running out of time. If you have
Yeah, I would say, I think in general, what you said, it's definitely the timeline. I would say, though, there's a lot of support from other students that are going through the same process. So like if you're doing consulting, there's the big club, there is people there to help you, second years, first years, really to kind of get you ready and doing mock interviews so that you're ready to go out there and have those conversations. What I would say is maybe think a little bit about what it is that you want to do, like Jeff said, so you don't end up getting swayed by one wave or another. But think a little bit about what you want to do, talk to the right people. There's some people in the class who might have done it before, or alumni, so you can get a sense of when the timeline is going to be, how you can prepare yourself so that you're ready for that.
Great. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Career Development Office. They're an amazing group of people that start working with you right in the first semester through Career Corps, getting you up to speed, getting your resume ready, helping you navigate the recruiting process and what you want to target, putting you in touch with alumni if need be in specific industries. There's a whole, separate of the Career Development Office, the Alumni Office has a eHarmony of sorts of a student alumni mentorship opportunities. You can get feedback and learn about different organizations and from the alumni at them. And the Career Development Office is there to help you with the interview prep and everything throughout your time at Sloan, and even when you're an alum, you still have access to the Career Development Office. So it's a really great resource that you have forever. So another question is, would you say that students from diverse backgrounds face more difficulties in recruiting, and if so, how does Sloan aid them in overcoming this? So I guess it's a very individual type of question, and It's hard to say. I think that each of you can take it in your route. I know that I used to work at a big consulting firm, heading up recruiting from some business schools, and we really valued diversity, and we were actively trying to do separate events for diverse populations to try and attract and talent, because an organization is so much better when there is much more diversity of thought and life and everything. So that was just my perspective from that angle. But do you guys feel anything at Sloan or in the recruiting process? Difficulties?
I didn't. I wouldn't say that I had any specific difficulties in terms of recruiting from being from Africa or from being black. I would say though, if a lot of international students, just in terms of like language, if you're just kind of in the country or like culturally, even if that's a concern of yours, I think that the core semester really helps bringing everybody to the same level. And like even with the communication class that we have to take, that's really, really helpful in terms of making sure that you're ready for those interviews. And even if English is not your first language, if you are at MIT, you are extremely smart and bright. And so going in with that confidence and knowing that the people on the other side of the table know and understand that, I think that's really helpful. And again, the Career Center is there to help you prepare for the interview. I did a couple of mock interviews, which I thought were really, really helpful. So I wouldn't say that I had any specific issues as far as being a diverse candidate. You know, it's more, you know, the bar is really high. Everybody else around you is extremely smart, and you just kind of have to bring it. And so you can't really think about anything else.
Great. You know, we've got time for a couple more questions. If anyone has any more questions, please type them in now. Overall, MIT Sloan, a great place. We do encourage you to visit if you can. It's a great way to get a feel for the school, get to talk to more current students. Like I said, reach out to alumni in different organizations and organizations where you work as well. Get a sense. We do have a lot of events on campus. If you do go to our the Ambassadors Program page, you can see visit programs throughout the fall and spring semesters where you can come on campus. There's specific affinity group ambassador days, so diversity weekend, September 29th and 30th, or diversity days rather, because it's not a weekend. And like I said, there's veterans in November, LGBT in October, women in December. So great, lots of opportunities to come visit and check it out and see what it's like. If you're interested in, if you are interested, a lot of questions we get have to do with fellowship a lot of times too. So there are fellowship aid is available to students. It's merit-based, it's not need-based, so we're just looking at you know, the whole picture in terms of giving fellowship out. There are other means to fellowship as well. So there's one, the Legatum Center at MIT Sloan, where if you're interested in working on a startup in a developing country, you can put together a plan and apply for a scholarship there, and they'll mentorship and guidance through the process there, and they offer fellowship awards to help towards that. And teaching assistants, as Sahar mentioned, teaching assistants take a very different role than they do at many other schools, in that depending on the number of credits and credit hours of courses, you can get a big discount on your tuition as well as living stipend on top of that, so that helps a lot. That said, I mean, it is competitive to get the teaching assistantships, but it's still another way to help subsidize your tuition and living expenses. Do you guys have anything to add to that I just mentioned? No? All right, well, oh, Sahar, go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say with the teaching assistantships, I think just showing a sincere interest in the course, doing well in it, being enthusiastic, and developing a rapport with the professor, those are the keys to really getting them. I would say pretty much most of my friends who really wanted to go after a teaching assistantship were able to secure one by kind of following those rules of thumb.
Great. So with that, I'm going to ask each of you to think of one word to describe your MIT Sloan experience to date. And as I think of that for 2 seconds, well, I just say thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We hope you learned some new things about MIT. Sorry that Carolyn got bounced off early. If you really have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the admissions office. You can reach out to me, jcarbone@mit.edu. Sahar, Awa, they're available as well as Carolyn. Like I said, reach out to clubs that you might be interested in, and the leadership of those clubs will get back to you. And if you can visit. So, your word, what shall it be?
So I actually was asked this question yesterday at the Forte Forum here in DC. So I feel like I'm cheating a little, but I'm going to kind of use the word anyways, and that word is transformative. People kept saying in my first semester and the orientation that it was a transformative process, and quite frankly, I was rolling my eyes a bit. I had already gone to law school before, which is a graduate degree here in the States, and so I was like, how transformative could this be? But it really is probably the most transformative period of time in my life. The program, the people, the professors, the amount of growth and development I've experienced, for me, I feel like transformative is the best word to describe MIT Sloan experience.
Yeah, so my word is gonna be mind-blowing. I had an amazing time. So the first time I went to school here in the U.S., I came straight from Africa and I was an undergrad, and I felt like there was such a culture shock. It was really tough for me to adjust. MIT hasn't been like that. People have been so welcoming. It's a safe environment for me to just be myself, and I've been able to really connect with people and build really strong relationships, but also really explore different career paths, network with people. I mean, I've met the president of Rwanda. I've met so many people. It's just, amazing. Like, I would not even imagine having access to all these opportunities outside of MIT. So it's been amazing. I cannot wait to go back. I'm going to start packing after this and ready to go back. Yeah.
Great. Well, we look forward to seeing you both on campus and look forward to this coming year. And then everyone that's watching, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you on campus sometime as well. All right? Have a great night. Bye.